You know what terrifies me most as a doctor? It's not the complex surgeries or the rare diseases. It's watching perfectly capable people lose their independence because they stopped moving in ways that matter. And here's what keeps me awake at night. We've been approaching aging completely wrong in the Western world. I'm Dr. Lucas Mason, and today I need to share something with you that will fundamentally change how you think about staying independent as you age. Because while we've been obsessed with gym memberships and complicated exercise routines, an entire population on the other side of the world has been quietly practicing something so simple, so deceptively basic, that most people dismiss it entirely. And yet these people are walking, living, and thriving well into their 90s with a quality of life that seems almost impossible. Let me be direct with you. The Japanese aren't just living longer. They're living better. And I'm not talking about some genetic advantage or miracle supplement. I'm talking about 6 movements. 6 incredibly simple movements that most of us stopped doing decades ago without even realizing it. Movements so integrated into daily life that they don't even consider them exercise, and the science behind why these work is absolutely fascinating. But before we go further, I need you to understand something crucial. If you're over 60, the next 5 years of your life will determine the next 20. The decisions you make today about how you move your body aren't just about feeling good tomorrow. They're about whether you'll be able to stand up from a chair, walk to the bathroom, or live in your own home when you're 85. And that's not meant to scare you. That's meant to empower you. Because unlike so many things in medicine, this is something you have complete control over. Here's what most doctors won't tell you, and honestly, what many don't even understand. Your brain and your body aren't separate systems. Every single time you perform a complex movement, especially one that challenges your balance or requires coordination, you're not just training muscles. You're firing up neural pathways. You're forcing your brain to communicate with your body in ways that keep both systems sharp. The Japanese have understood this intuitively for generations. We're only now catching up with the research to prove why it works. Let me share something that happened in my practice last year. I had a patient, Margaret, 73 years old, sharp as a tack mentally, but she'd stopped getting down on the floor to play with her grandchildren about 2 years earlier. She told me it wasn't worth the struggle to get back up. 6 months after that conversation, she fell in her bathroom. Nothing dramatic, just lost her balance reaching for a towel. But here's the thing, she couldn't get herself up. She lay there for 40 minutes until her husband came home. The fall didn't injure her. The fear did. She became terrified of being alone, started limiting her activities, and within 3 months, I watched her whole world shrink. Now, contrast that with what I observed during my research trip to Okinawa. I watched an 87-year-old woman lower herself completely to the floor, sit cross-legged while she folded laundry, then stand back up without using her hands. No struggle, no fear, just a movement she'd done 10,000 times before. Her brain didn't even register it as difficult because she'd never stopped doing it. And you need to understand something. She wasn't exceptional among her peers. This was normal. The first movement we need to talk about is walking, but not the way you think. In Western culture, we've turned walking into exercise. We track our steps, we speed up to get our heart rate elevated, we treat it like a workout. The Japanese do something different. They walk slowly, deliberately, with intention. And recent studies from the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology have shown something remarkable. Slow, mindful walking activates different neural pathways than fast walking. It requires more balance adjustment, more fine motor control, more cognitive engagement. Your brain has to work harder to control subtle movements than it does to just power through them. Think about it this way. When you walk fast, you're essentially creating momentum and letting physics take over. When you walk slowly, every single step requires conscious control. Every weight shift demands balance. Your proprioception, which is your body's ability to know where it is in space, gets a constant workout. And here's the kicker. Proprioception is one of the first things that deteriorates with age. It's why older adults fall. Not because they're weak, but because they've lost that sixth sense of where their body is. Slow walking preserves it. The second movement is so simple you might laugh. Gentle stretching. But again, not the aggressive pull until it hurts stretching we learned in high school gym class. The Japanese practice something closer to what we'd call mobility work. Slow, gentle movements that take joints through their full range of motion. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. That's it. And here's why this matters more than you realize. Every joint in your body has proprioceptors, these tiny sensors that tell your brain where that joint is positioned. When you stop moving a joint through its full range, those sensors start to quiet down. Your brain begins to lose its map of that area. It's called sensory motor amnesia, and it's reversible, but only if you act. Those gentle stretches aren't just preventing stiffness. They're maintaining your brain's connection to your body. Now we get to the movement that makes most Western doctors uncomfortable when I recommend it, because it looks so unusual. Squatting. Not the gym squat with a barbell on your shoulders. The deep resting squat where you lower yourself down and just sit there, flat-footed, in a position most Americans haven't been in since they were toddlers. In traditional Japanese homes, this position is as common as sitting in a chair is for us. They squat to garden, to sort things, to rest. And the benefits are extraordinary. This single position maintains ankle mobility, hip flexibility, knee health, and core strength all at once. But more than that, and this is what the research from Kyoto University has been showing us, the deep squat position creates a unique challenge for your vestibular system, which is the balance center in your inner ear. Your body has to make constant, tiny adjustments to maintain that position. It's like a balance workout that doesn't feel like work. I had a patient, Robert, 68, who couldn't get into a full squat to save his life when we first tried. His ankles were too stiff, his hips too tight. We spent 3 months just working on sitting back onto a low stool, then a lower one, gradually increasing his range. 6 months in, he could get into a full squat and hold it for 30 seconds. But here's what he told me that really struck me. "Doc, I'm not afraid of my bathroom anymore." That fear of falling in the bathroom, the most common place for serious falls in the elderly, had been quietly terrorizing him. The squat gave him back his confidence. The fourth movement is standing on one leg. Sounds almost too simple, right? But listen to this. A landmark study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed over 2,000 adults over 50 for more than a decade. They found that the ability to stand on one leg for 10 seconds was a stronger predictor of longevity than almost any other single physical test. Not strength, not cardiovascular fitness. Balance. Why? Because balance requires integration. Your eyes have to work with your inner ear. Your inner ear has to work with your proprioceptors. Your proprioceptors have to work with your muscles. And your brain has to coordinate all of it in real time. It's the ultimate test of how well your body's systems are communicating. The Japanese build this into daily life, putting on shoes, standing at the counter, waiting for tea to brew. Little moments throughout the day where they shift their weight, lift one foot, and hold it. And your brain loves novelty and challenge. Every time you practice balancing, you're not just preventing falls. You're creating new neural connections. You're keeping your cerebellum, which is the part of your brain responsible for coordination, young and active. This isn't just about physical health. This is cognitive protection. Now we come to what I consider the most important movement of all, and the one that predicts independence better than anything else I can test in my office. Getting down to the floor and standing back up, without using your hands if possible. But even with hand assistance, this movement is crucial. There's a test we use in geriatric medicine called the sitting rising test. You sit down on the floor and stand back up, and we score you based on how much support you need. The research is sobering. Adults who score low on this test have dramatically higher mortality rates over the next 6 years. Not because the test itself matters, but because it reveals something fundamental. If you can't control your body through space, if you can't coordinate that complex sequence of movements, your body's systems are breaking down. The Japanese maintain this ability because they never stopped doing it. Traditional floor seating, gardening, playing with grandchildren on the floor, these aren't exercises to them. They're just life. And every single time they lower themselves down and rise back up, they're performing a movement that requires strength, yes, but also balance, coordination, spatial awareness, and confidence. It's a full system check. The final movement is one that surprised me when I first learned about it. It's an isometric hold using just a towel. You take a small towel, hold it with both hands, and pull outward while also pulling inward, creating tension. You hold this for 20 to 30 seconds. Sounds like nothing, right? But isometric exercises, where you create tension without moving, have a unique effect on your nervous system. They activate muscle fibers in a different pattern than dynamic movement. They improve something called neuromuscular efficiency, which is how quickly and effectively your brain can tell your muscles to fire. And in older adults, this matters enormously. It's not just about having strong muscles. It's about having muscles that respond instantly when you need them. When you slip, when you trip, when you catch yourself, you need that instantaneous response. Isometric work trains exactly that. Here's what all 6 of these movements have in common, and this is the part that most exercise programs completely miss. They're not about building muscle mass or improving cardiovascular endurance. Those things are fine, but they're not what keeps you independent. These movements are about maintaining the conversation between your brain and your body. They're about keeping the neural pathways open. They're about forcing your nervous system to stay engaged, alert, and responsive. And the beauty is in their simplicity. You don't need equipment. You don't need a gym. You don't need to set aside an hour. These movements can be woven into your day so seamlessly that they stop feeling like exercise and start feeling like life. That's the secret the Japanese have understood. Movement isn't something you do. It's something you are. Let me be completely honest with you. If you're 60 or older and you've spent the last decade sitting more than moving, these movements might feel impossible at first. And that's okay. That's expected. You're not trying to become an Olympic athlete. You're trying to maintain your independence, your dignity, and your quality of life. And that happens incrementally, not dramatically. Start with what you can do. If you can't squat, sit back onto a low chair and work on lowering it over time. If you can't stand on one leg for 10 seconds, hold on to a counter and practice for 5 seconds. If you can't get down to the floor, start by sitting on the edge of your bed and controlling your descent. Progress isn't about perfection, it's about consistency and direction. And here's something else I need you to understand. This isn't vanity. This isn't about looking good or impressing anyone. This is about whether you'll be able to live in your own home, go to the bathroom independently, pick up something you dropped, or recover if you stumble. These are the movements that determine quality of life in your later years. And unlike so many aspects of aging, this is within your control. The research is overwhelmingly clear. Adults who maintain these basic movement patterns experience fewer falls, less cognitive decline, better mood, more independence, and significantly better health outcomes. Not because they're exercising harder, but because they're moving smarter. They're keeping their bodies and brains in constant communication. So here's what I want you to do. Don't wait. Don't tell yourself you'll start next week or next month. Pick one of these movements today, just one. Make it so easy you can't fail. Stand on one leg while you brush your teeth tonight. Do 5 slow, mindful steps down your hallway. Hold a towel with tension for 20 seconds. That's it. One small movement. And tomorrow, do it again. And the day after that. Because the truth is, you're not alone in this. Millions of people over 60 are facing the exact same concerns, the same fears about losing independence, the same worry about becoming a burden. But you have more control than you think. These 6 simple movements, practiced consistently, can change everything. They changed outcomes for my patients. They've been proven in Japanese longevity, and they can work for you. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let them down. Start moving in ways that matter. Your independence depends on it.